Welcome back, folks. Today, zooming in from beautiful San Francisco or thereabouts, we've got a real estate entrepreneur, Stephanie Clark. And Stephanie has had a very interesting journey in the whole professional and real estate investing space. She comes from a background as a teacher and got into real estate investing as she was also a full-time teacher, and has now, really used real estate to create a very strong financial foundation. So Stephanie, welcome to the call. Great to have you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad to be here. And thank you for offering the opportunity.
My pleasure. So Stephanie, let's give everybody a quick little snapshot of what the Stephanie Clark portfolio looks like today, because it's kind of interesting.
Okay. So today what it looks like is a couple of multifamily, let's see, 2 duplexes, 2 multifamilies, and then a single family residence. And also there is a 19-acre banana plantation in Rwanda and another single family house that has an additional unit on that property.
In Rwanda as well?
In Rwanda as well.
Very interesting. Okay, cool. So let's unpack this. When you say the multifamilies, you got a couple of duplexes. Are they smaller multifamilies or big syndication type properties? What
No big syndication, not yet. So everything is so 4 units or 2 units. And the thing that's interesting about a couple of the duplexes is on one of the duplexes, there is also 2 motorhomes, RVs, that are being rented.
So you're renting space for the RVs on the property?
The RVs actually are owned by me, and so they're being rented.
All right. So you got your own version, some tiny house action going on.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So Stephanie, a lot of school teachers aren't really dialed into the whole real estate investing thing. Yeah. How did you clue into it all?
So I loved watching HGTV. I was one of those people who I couldn't get enough of it. I didn't even watch other TV shows. That's all I watched. So I just started getting deeper and deeper into real estate. And at that time, I had a townhouse. Actually, I had a 3-bedroom townhouse, 2 bath, and it was new construction. So I watched that process from when it was dirt to, the whole build. And I got to follow along with it step by step. So here I am living in this townhouse and wishing and dreaming that I could have a house, and with a yard. And then it went from that dream to, what? How about if I had like a duplex and I can live in one side and rent out the other? Then it was like, well, why not a 4-plex? And so that's kind of how it started. And then I started looking into where could I actually buy real estate in the Bay Area. And Vallejo came up as a place in the Bay Area, only 20 minutes outside of San Francisco, 15 minutes from Napa, where you could still buy property for cheap. Wow. And the first property I came across was $370,000, and it was a 4-unit building.
That is super cheap for that neck of the woods. My goodness, anything within 50, 60 miles of San Francisco, I would imagine is prime. Okay, very cool. So you've done a whole bunch of different things, that's for sure. So when you kind of, you had the first townhouse that was your own personal residence, then you thought, well, maybe it'd be better to what we call now house hacking a little bit. So buy a duplex, live in one side, rent the other. Was that kind of your next progression? And did you kind of buy and live in these properties, or did you just leapfrog?
Nope, I leapfrog. That was the thought. So the thought seemed like doable, easy, but really what happened was I just took the leap. I took equity out of the house, out of the townhouse, because I had never done that before. Took equity out, used that money to put down on the first 4-unit building. And that's kind of how it started. And that 4-unit was in Vallejo. So I had to, basically, I did that. It was summer. So I had to move to Vallejo, right? And so one of the things was, I was like, I need a job, because I don't know if I'm going to be able to sustain this, if this is going to really, really do it. So for 1 year, I worked as a school teacher in Vallejo, while also buying these properties, which retired me from teaching early. So,
nice. So you had kind of retired a little bit beforehand, then went back in for a year, or how did that work?
No, it was summer. It was summer.
Oh, I
So
see. Yeah.
yeah, we had the
Temporary.
summers
Yeah.
off.
Summer.
So I went from summer in the school district I had been in for almost nearly 30 years. And then at the end of the summer, I came into the classroom here. But it was really interesting because I'd be in class and the notary would come and I'd be doing signings and I was like, oh yeah, it's time. It's time.
And the kids are going, what the heck's going on here?
Exactly, exactly. So yeah.
Oh, that is very cool. So, Stephanie, walk me through the existing portfolio. I'm really curious to hear about the motorhome rentals and kind of how that fits in. And are you doing short-term rentals there, long-term? What does that look like?
Okay. So the motorhomes was purely by accident. So we bought a motorhome and we drove it from Northern California to Southern California. The
Wow.
whole idea was to and then we went on a cruise once we got to Southern Cal. So the whole idea was to have this adventure with the kids. But on our way back, we lost a mirror on the motorhome. I mean, it was hilarious. But it ended up needing a place to be parked. And at that same time, we were right in the middle of the next deal, which was a duplex. And that particular duplex was about 3 blocks from from the 4 unit building. And so it had an extra on both sides of it. It was a large lot. So on both sides of it, there were big pads where you could put, where you could put the motorhome. And so that's basically what happened. That deal closed. The motorhome went there to be parked. And then someone inquired if they could actually rent it. So it was not on purpose. It was just accidentally that we fell into that.
Very interesting. All right. So
Yeah.
that worked out kind of nicely. So
Yeah.
did you buy another motorhome or what did you do for the second
Yep.
one?
So that's what happened. So because that was the return on the investment was so good. The first motorhome was purchased. It was used, but it was purchased for like 23,000.
Yeah.
And it was renting out for 1,600.
No way. Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like year round or just temporarily
Um
kind of thing?
it was actually it ended up being a year and a half because what happened was in the fourplex there were some gentlemen who were here on a contract with Chevron to do some pipe fitting.
Mm-hmm.
And so they talked to each other, and as they would talk to each other, then they'd say, hey, another one's coming out. They were coming from the Midwest. Hey,
Yeah.
another one's coming out. Do you have a place where they could stay? So for the first couple of years, there was a lot of consistency as far as having these pipe fitters in the 4 unit and then in the duplex and then in the motorhome. So yeah.
Just out of curiosity, how do bathrooms and whatnot work in the motorhome situation? So are they using the bathrooms in the house or are they using the
No,
bathrooms
no,
in the motor?
you plumb the plumbing into the existing plumbing that's already there, right? So
Got it.
yeah, so you plug into the sewer line that's already there.
So
So
they're,
they have
they're their own self
yep,
enclosed
water,
unit.
electricity, the sewer line, and then also the Wi-Fi just comes right off of the house, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so they're
Very cool.
self-contained.
So yeah, so 23 grand for the motorhome and it's renting out at 1,600 bucks a month. Yeah, your ROI there is out of
Yeah.
this world. Yeah, was the
Yeah.
second one fairly similar?
So the second one was fairly similar. It was a different style. It was actually a fifth wheel. So the first one, it was different than the first one because it
Yeah.
was a fifth wheel. So that one, you have to put it on blocks, the whole nine. But as far as renting it out, same easy process. And it started, like I said, with the pipe fitters. And so it was that whole crew. They were
Yeah.
like a family, and they stayed. Their job lasted a really long time. So yeah,
Who's renting them nowadays typically? Is it long term or is it more temporary type stuff?
still
Yeah.
long term. And basically what has happened is because we're in the Bay Area and everything is really, really expensive,
Yeah.
if people can live in an area that they feel is safe and in a clean environment, they stay put.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's not much choice, is there? I mean, that's, yeah,
Yeah.
very,
Yeah.
very cool. Interesting. So Stephanie, how does this, like you talked about this, you were able to retire from your teaching job thanks in big part to your real estate investing. When you're talking to other people that are doing the W-2, what do you tell them about the opportunities that lie in real estate?
Well, here's the good thing. I always tell people, build a foundation. One thing about having rentals is I know a lot of people had difficulty coming through COVID 2020, but I was consistent. The rents were paid,
Mhm.
and I didn't have some of the stress that some other people had during that time. So I felt very, very grateful. But when I talked to my fellow colleagues and co-teachers, I always talk about basically if you can invest in real estate, if find a home that you love, or maybe you can do Airbnb with it, because that's also been a route that I've gone, is Airbnb. Just
Mhm.
recently, within this last year, I bought a single family home. And that home, it wasn't paying for itself. Obviously, single family residence, it still wasn't, even with a rental, it still wasn't cutting the mustard. So I bought a uh, container home and had the container home lifted and put over, craned in, and put in the backyard. And so now, now the return is really good.
Yeah.
So
So you added what some people call an accessory dwelling unit.
yeah, it's the same
Yeah.
concept. Yep.
Yeah.
It's, because inside it's super modern. It's brand new, and it looks like any other unit would look,
Yeah.
with recessed lighting and very nice. So I try to tell my fellow teachers, at least go with an ADU or a tiny house, something that will bring in residual income.
Yeah.
Because when you retire, you know that the retirement is not great, and you have given all these years of service, so why should you have to struggle,
Mhm.
at the end? That doesn't make sense.
No, that's very wise advice. Okay, I'm really curious.
Yeah.
What's up with the banana plantation? That
That's a whole
that's
nother situation. So that's a whole nother situation. But the idea was to live in Rwanda part-time. That was
oh,
the idea, the
yeah.
original idea. But since then the idea has kind of shifted, because I have three kids here in college. So I'm not interested in being there full time.
Yeah.
So the banana plantation is being maintained by the other half, and it's 19 acres. It has 21 plots that are undeveloped, which the whole idea of that was to develop each plot and then sell. And
Mm.
and there, labor is very, very cheap. The resource, I mean, as far as resources to build with, they're still a little bit expensive, and a lot of times you have to get the resources shipped in from China, which
Mm.
that costs a little bit, but you fill up a whole container and you do it that way if you
Yeah.
know what you need. But that's the idea with that, to build homes and sell them.
Oh, to build homes and sell them.
Uh-huh.
Very interesting. Very, very cool. Well,
Uh-oh.
I tell you, oh, I lost you there for a second, Stephanie.
Where am I?
I'm not sure, but I see the Golden Gate Bridge, so I can hear you. So that's good. And as we're wrapping up here, Stephanie, if people would like to find out more and connect with you, what should they do?
They can reach out to me at stephanied.clark@kw.com.
Fantastic. Well, Stephanie, thank you very much for sharing your journey. It sounds like you're having a heck of a lot of fun with real estate. You're doing all sorts of different things, and I applaud you on your creativity.
Yep. Thank you so much.
All right, everybody, take care, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Okay.